The computer. Right. So, good afternoon, everyone out there in virtual land. I'm Michael Naylor, the director of the Maine Enneagram Center for Transformation and Well-Being. And today I'm here with Jeanne Haskell, a beloved Type 3, who's going to guide us through the agony and the ecstasy of being a Type 3 and everything in between. And just grateful for you being here. And um, just would love it if you just started with how you discovered your threeness, like what process you went through, and was it a glorious reveal or was it like hard to bear?
It was a journey and, a bit embarrassing. Uh, I typed as a type two with a three wing and went on that assumption for a year.
Mhm.
And then I think I employed, how at the Enneagram Institute you can ask for a consult after you've taken the test. So I did, and I was emailing, I forget which woman, and she said, hold open that you could be a type three. She said the efficiency with which you're writing emails, etc. So I just held it open, and the more I looked at it over the next year, it was clear. I was a three with a two wing, not a two with a three wing.
Yeah, well, it sounds like your two wings is pretty strong.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, how long ago was that you discovered your threeness?
16 years.
Time flies, I'm telling you.
Time
Yeah.
flies.
So,
And then I was, as I joined the Diamond Heart community, I explored it there because it felt as I went into wanted to be a coach, an Enneagram coach, it felt embarrassing to have not gotten my own type right. But I actually began to think that having not knowing made me pay attention differently and much, in a good way.
yeah.
So
Okay.
for me.
And so maybe tell us a little bit about the challenges and the positives of being a type 3. What stands out for you?
Uh, well, it's funny because the positives can be negatives too. I am I am absolutely someone who's always had 3 to 5 jobs. Uh, which is a
Hmm.
positive in terms of I'm very active. I like everything I'm doing, but my family would like me to be home and not just achieving on their behalf.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
there's that. Um, I I feel the diplomacy in the type, and it's served me well because I've been in retail. I was a potter for years,
oh,
and you know, coaching. I worked at a college, being a kind of a student guidance counselor for adults. And
mm,
so I really used the Enneagram. They took a test. And anyway, I felt the diplomacy of my type was it really served me well. Just people felt heard and,
yeah.
like,
It sounds like you're able to adapt to whoever you were with and really be present for them in a way that served them, which is the gift of the three.
yes.
And then also, if you're selling cars, it can be pretty good
Yes, that's
as a
right.
as a technique. Well,
Yeah.
when you say you do 3 to 5 jobs at a time, the word that comes to mind for me is overdrive. We often talk about what the type 3, the wake up call is overdrive, right? Just go into work mode, and a lot of times type 3s will say to me that they just get an adrenaline rush from working. It's like boom, if I'm tired, I just work and I just wake up. And so how do you manage and know when you're gone too far and
That's been a life lesson. That was one of the hardest things. So that was a challenge. I think my relationship with my body has I'm not a self-pres, I'm a social three.
Mhm. Mhm.
So along with that, it was really hard for me to I just would push through. I,
Push through?
I
Yeah.
would push through. I would work at my desk. I founded a pottery educational center. I would push through and sit at my desk and not go to the bathroom. I would, it would just, in many ways, I was not very friendly to my body. And that took a while to recognize
Mhm.
and to remedy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had a number of type 3 stories where not paying attention to the body is actually what catapulted them into understanding they were a type 3. Something happened on a health level. So did you have a health crisis of some kind, or was just mostly tired and exhausted?
I'm trying to think. I had an emotional crisis that led to a kind of a mystical experience.
Oh.
It was before I knew I was a type 3, but I'm trying to think of how to make that all relate. Uh, I think if I had not had that emotional crisis and spiritual experience, I probably would have hurt my body and
Okay.
gotten sick. But I didn't. And actually, the spiritual awakening gave me a kind of energy that was so uh healthy energy to apply
Hmm.
to everything I did.
Well,
And
it
it
sounds
just
like divine intervention helped out. So I
big
wonder,
time.
do you feel comfortable to talk about that experience? Is that something you?
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
I'd love to
I
hear
don't
about it.
talk about it much. It's hard to explain to people who haven't experienced it.
Yeah,
Um,
I hear you.
but yeah, I was in Jungian analysis, which was wonderful because it used dream images, and I was an artist, so it just fit. And about a year and a half into that, just something it ex- in a moment of kind of emotional pain, it exploded
Hmm.
and revealed a kind of reality behind this veil that
Hmm.
we live in. And so for 8 days I was in this state.
Wow.
Yeah. And I found that it gave me a power. I had a lot of self-doubt. That's another challenge of the three, that connection to six, a lot of self-doubt. So I looked confident but wasn't. However, with this sense of just being my essence, all self-doubt
Hmm.
went away,
Hmm.
all question about anything went away, and I began to call all kinds of people in different lines of art and ask them to be part of a production of a video I ended up making
Oh,
about the journey.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So I had a musician and a videographer and a
Oh,
painter and a dancer and yeah, it was fabulous. Yeah, very moving. Um, so where was I going with that?
well, it
Yes,
sounds like your heart really got opened up.
yes, and the simplicity of just being
Hmm.
was awe inspiring. Because then after 8 days, the door shut.
Yep, that's after enlightenment. You
Yeah,
still
and
carry
that
water.
was, and so I did a very three responses. I got to get it back. Got to get it back. How am I going to get it back? And that's where I began to look for a map of how to get it back, and that's how I got into the Enneagram.
Well, how interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I was,
I had a similar experience when I was 28. I was a diehard atheist, and I'd gone to this spiritual retreat, and I came home and said, "Yeah, this is all bunk." And I woke up in the morning, and my heart got blown open, and I just felt this immense joy and love pouring through me, and I was saying out loud, "God, God," and that wasn't the first thing on my lips most of the time, right? But it was like it's such an altered, mystical place I'd never even knew about, and then, of course, my teacher said, "Well, if you want, you've been given a freebie. Now you've got to do the inner work of meditation, and it would be a good idea to stop drinking, by the way," which is
oh,
when
is
I
that
started.
what brought it
Yeah,
on?
yeah, that's when I started
Oh,
recovery. So, yeah, so
uh-huh.
great. Yeah, and those.
Yeah.
If I would love to return to that state. I hope it one day, like Eckhart Tolle sat on the bench, he opened up, and it's been that way forever. So, maybe that's karma.
Well, maybe. I remember hearing a Jungian speaker talking about an awakening experience and how the rest of his life was spent in these little incremental steps back toward
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
place. And
Yeah.
I would say that's probably what feels true for me. And but recovery, I mean, for me it wasn't drinking, but it probably was like pushing my body, overworking, doing all the three things that are in put me in overdrive. And I began to do what I did for a different reason now and with a different understanding,
Yeah.
because it's as if the cosmic blueprint got revealed for a moment. And I realized, even though I can never understand it just in my human mind, I know it's there. So it gave me a kind of a faith and a love of humanity and so many things that I could bring to my work. Um, and
So
so,
you started, how did you start your investigation of the Enneagram?
um, with the Sufis,
Oh,
yes, I'm actually a Sufi.
oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
And so I have a Sufi guide here in Vermont. And as part of a training to be a leader in that community, one of the trainings was on the Enneagram.
Oh, no kidding.
And I said, "This is the map. This is the map I've been looking for." And so then I had a friend who had trained at the Enneagram Institute, and we were going to teach together. We did a little teaching together, but she said, "You really ought to go train." And as a type three, this is another type three thing. I think I can just know it all and learn it all. And I didn't need that. And what's she talking about? But I ended up going.
Oh,
Actually, your workshop in Massachusetts was the first workshop I ever did on
oh,
relationships. And
oh,
then I went to the Enneagram Institute.
yeah, the Walker
Um,
Center. I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah. So I loved it. I just ate it up. I said it made absolute perfect sense for me, especially so the Enneagram, Sufism, and my Jungian work feel like a three-legged stool, and they all support each other, both their values and what they're founded on, and the whole fourth way thing of not being very public about how you're doing this. One is doing this work,
Yeah,
because the Sufis are definitely that way.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so so it gave me a kind of a pleasure in doing what I could do to help people shine. And so my whole type three thing, I really, really, really do honestly enjoy watching people thrive and shine. And so yeah, could
yeah.
do that with.
Seems like that's the best of the three is where they really just love to cheer people on and light them up. And so, they watch them shine and they such a radiant pleasure for that. And which is, a healthy three at levels one, two, and three around there. So the flip side of that is if I'm not in a good place emotionally, that thing called vanity can pop up. And I wonder if you had any experience with vanity.
Oh, totally. My husband would call it what used to be called the Jeanne show. Um, and whether I'm a social three, so it's like, and I am a good diplomat, so I can talk and steal the air in the room, and yeah, and various things where I realized it was about me, so I actually made it a topic of one of my Sufi retreats. I did a lot of solo retreats
Oh,
with
awesome.
yeah, and made that one of my topics, and suddenly saw the vanity piece, in
Wow.
full flame, full, which is great because if you recognize something, then the change can happen. And if you don't, you know,
Yeah, I can't see it till you do. That's for sure. Well, it sounds like you've been on a spiritual path for quite a while. Uh,
yeah.
and so as a type three, how did that show up, let's say, when you were a young kiddo or when you were in grade school, high school? Did you recall any threeness patterns then?
Well, I think as I look back to my childhood, there was a lot of conflict because I have the impulse to And I have a lot of seven too. So I have an impulse to perform. I would have loved being in theater. However, my family all had social anxiety disorder, including myself.
Oh.
So here I am, a three that sort of wants to be out there, who's incredibly, incredibly shy.
Mm.
And so it was, I wouldn't have known then that uh, the whole threeness sort of didn't show up because all the self doubt took over
Mhm.
and don't
Oh.
bother people. And as a three,
Mhm.
all I want to do is be out there bothering people.
Well, how did you move through that? That sounds like it was a pretty intense encapsulation of you.
Well, interestingly, so I I felt invisible. I felt like so when I
Mhm.
lived in Boston, Mass, where I went to school. When I moved away, I thought all the friends I'd made wouldn't even remember. I truly felt invisible, and I don't know whether that was a social anxiety disorder or what. But I said I'm going to leave. They'll never even remember I was here.
Wow.
It was a strange kind of reality. And then during the Jungian analysis and during that awakening, I got turned inside out. Like it was like a voltage of 2000 volts, and I
Wow.
got turned inside out. And so I suddenly felt the reality of me.
Wow.
Um, and it was still hard then. I mean, I didn't have the sort of social confidence and skill to do it, but I think just slowly I kept finding myself in situations where I had to talk. I mean, even with ECG now, I'm the one I'm the one hosting the meeting. It's like, how do I keep getting here? This is you talked about divine intervention, and I think that's it. I've as a founding this pottery organization, I had to do a lot of talking, a lot of public speaking, and I was petrified. I would like sweat in my shoes, but the more you do it, and because I believed in, it wasn't about me, and I believed in the causes, and that's the type two part.
Yeah.
Um, I just slowly got over it.
Oh,
I mean,
well, thank heaven for that. It's
oh, it's so awful. It's to have.
Yeah, it
So
sounds like sort of getting stuck at point six with all the social anxiety and but anyway,
yeah,
so much for the theory.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so when did you begin to notice or feel your like that drive of the threeness to achieve and accomplish and polish their very best gifts and all of that? Like when did that come online?
Well, even as a potter, I remember I had neighbors and we'd meet every Sunday, the whole group of us. And I remember a comment of mine was, I want to be the best potter ever, or I want to make one pot in my lifetime that is like the best.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was using the concept of the best. I want to be the best wife. I want to be the best mother.
Oh,
And I was recognizing how embarrassed I got when I was incompetent in any way. So,
yeah.
I just studying the Enneagram, I began to see those things. Um, I'm trying to think of what your question was now,
Well, just
how it came online.
yeah, just how your threeness came online and how it showed up. It sounds like you were a voracious potter at some point. Were you putting out a lot of works?
Yeah, and there aren't many people who make a living at it. And I made a living at it. I mean, me and my husband, I pulled my husband out of an engineering career. and and so we made a living, not a great living as potters, but a living. We
Yeah,
supported ourselves. And so that kind of drive, it's like a lot of persistence. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get it done well. I'm going to make a living at this. I'm going to make money at this. Um,
yeah, awesome.
so
So the threeness
yeah.
really came in handy for sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
yeah. So, sometimes we hear a little bit about the shadow of the three in the heart center, the idea that I get so one-pointed in my goal seeking that I sort of hop over my heart and don't feel it or put it in the background until, maybe next year or something. I wonder what you notice in terms of your relationship with your heart.
Totally. I would agree with that. Um, I think because of the Enneagram training, I was trying to observe, am I doing what I'm doing because I want to do it?
Hmm.
Or am I doing it to get some credit?
Hmm.
And I was doing the pottery because I wanted to do it, but I also was trying to get a lot of credit. So at some point, again, because of the training, I said if I were doing what I wanted to do, whether someone was watching or not, what would that be? Uh,
Hmm.
and so at that time, I still do some artwork, but it's just
Okay.
for me. I do something called soul collage
Oh,
cards,
beautiful.
and which are like a dialogue with myself and the people and things in my life and why they're important.
Mm.
Um, and I play an instrument. I played an instrument. I got to pick it up again, just
What
for me.
would you play?
Concertina, squeeze box.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Celtic music.
Celtic
Yeah.
music. How awesome. And that video you made, is that on YouTube somewhere?
No, I've only shown it to a few private people. It's
Oh,
so important to me.
oh, personally, huh?
Yeah, that and every time I watch it, I'm so moved. And maybe
Oh,
I'd be ready now. I haven't been, it's been too important. If someone
yeah.
I wouldn't want judgment or criticism or even
Oh,
comments, take from it what you want. But
yeah.
yeah, no, I never even thought of putting it out there.
Yeah, I would love to see it if there's ever a
Yeah.
possibility.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. I forget where it is. I don't know if I have it on digital. I think I do because
Yeah,
it was filmed. Yeah. The
sounds awesome.
videographer filmed it. Yeah. Yeah. I'll see if I can. I'll share it with you. I think it's using the Jungian images. When I had this experience,
Hmm.
I had been a painter. I became a potter in
Wow.
college.
Hmm.
And when this awakening happened, um, I I wrote a book of poetry in this week that where I was like,
Yeah,
I wrote
wide
a book of
open.
poetry. I did a painting of all the images that I had been having for a year and a half in the Jungian analysis and painted the sort of story
Wow.
coming out of the dark, and into the light. Um, and all this like creativity, like almost that I couldn't, it was hard to bear because, we're only wired for 110 and I was having 2000 volts here. Um, and why am I telling you that? Um,
Let's
what were we
see.
talking about? Yeah.
I lost the thread. I was
I've
so
lost the thread
enthralled
too.
with it. Oh, I said something about, I'd love to see it and blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
And then you start describing the parts of it.
oh,
Yeah.
right. So the painting became the script for the video, for the
Oh,
performance. Yeah.
how
And I
awesome.
think you'll like it because the whole Jungian journey feels very aligned with everything Enneagram to me. And
Yeah.
my analyst is in the we formed a circle at the end of the performance,
Oh, awesome.
and she made some comments that I think you'd resonate with about what you said earlier. We know that the curtain's going to come down. You've been given a freebie. Yeah.
Don't panic when it comes down. Yeah,
Yeah.
start meditating. So, one of the things I've noticed sometimes, working with threes is that kind of when it comes to the idea of meditating and sitting, a lot of the threes I've worked with, it's like, oh my God, don't even try to pin me down to sitting still because I'm like wired to move.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how do you work with the theme of meditation practices? What do you
Good
do?
question. So I'm married to a nine who is a world expert at sitting quietly, and we live in nature, so double good.
Yeah.
Um, so while he's sitting on the porch, he puts music on, and I'm in the garden, you know, and that's so a lot of meditation in the garden. But interestingly, so I've never liked meditating, never, ever, ever, and so then becoming a Sufi. And I had to do these solo retreats where all day was meditation.
Like a
Uh,
solo all by yourself retreat?
uh, yeah, with a it's a guided, it's they call it an alchemical retreat. It's a guided retreat. You have your guide come
Hmm.
in the morning and meet with you. You don't talk, she talks, and kind of really could always psych into where I was at and gave me my work for the day,
Wow.
um, and delivered dinner just at my door. Um,
Hmm.
but the Sufis, I think, and I'm also a recovering Catholic, so very interesting.
You're not alone.
Yeah, and prayer. Oh, the word prayer even used to trigger me, but not anymore. Um, but there's something about the Sufis meditate with movement.
Like this,
And
the whirling, the dancing.
well, it's yeah, the zikr has a whole body series of body movements, and you do it with beads. Kind of was so it's like I have a rosary again.
Hmm.
And but the fact of moving my hands with the beads and moving the body,
Yeah,
it was the first meditation I actually could do.
really.
Yeah,
And were you able to get to some kind of quiet mind as a result of it?
totally,
Really?
totally. Yes, yes. And then the longer retreat. So the Sufis, you can do a half a day retreat and you can do a 45-day retreat. And so I had worked my way up to a 2 week retreat. And it actually, and they say alchemical because they take you up the mountain to the divine space and then back down to earth. And I was able to touch, how do I say it, to touch that awakened space again. It
Oh.
wasn't the same, it wasn't the same
Mhm.
as that first time, but I felt like I, I don't know, just like keeping the ashes, keeping the flame
Mhm.
alive and touching it and remembering it's there and just sort of strengthening my faith and everything. So when you get that kind of result, it makes the meditation, you feel like I can't not do it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've really had a strong spiritual passion here for the past, no, maybe 16 to 20 years, something like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah, well, very powerful. And so it seems like sometimes the type threes get sort of stereotyped as just being workaholic and selfish and all for themselves. We're very different than the healthy three, which is I've noticed it tends to be very authentic and down to earth and not seeking the limelight so much, but loving to express. So, I mean, what do you think? How do you get misunderstood, or have you gotten misunderstood as a type three?
Yeah, I have. People say you don't seem like a three. They don't see the cold calculating edge. I can feel it there, but it's like, Sundar Maitri talked about our type being, as you get healthier and healthier, but still there as a dry riverbed, but it can so I feel it, but people have had a hard time. People who know the Enneagram have had a hard time recognizing me as a three.
Mhm.
Um, and which also was good for me to experience because I think a lot we don't know what's going on inside someone else. So as a coach, that was good for me to experience other people not quite seeing what was true for me. They had to just take my word for it. But because they don't see me as a three, it made me keep going back and saying, did I type myself wrong again? But I kept reaffirming. So yeah, yeah, people see me a little kinder, not so cold edged, as a three. One friend said, "Oh God, I worked with a three. He was ready to step on anybody's toes to get where he wanted to get." Um,
Well, it's fun. It's interesting because the threes that I've gotten to know, like yourself and others, are often very big-hearted, and really have a beautiful authenticity and also very modest in many ways. But yeah, so there was
Yeah,
another.
authenticity. That's a big before I ever knew the Enneagram and in all my life, I think earlier on, I remember even having a hard time wearing Halloween costumes because I was so needing to feel authentic.
Really? Wow,
Yes.
it was in
Yeah. And
you
like
early,
even
wasn't it?
stepping into a costume was like, oh, I'm putting a mask on again.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
Yeah, because I knew I was putting on a mask for most of my youth. You
Yeah.
weren't. In fact, I used to pride myself that you can't see the real me, and I felt like I had a sense of power, especially because I felt a lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
way I coped. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think's been hardest for you in your evolution as a three?
I think I'm still trying to retire. Uh, um, I think working at a human pace. I really, really have worked so hard. Um, and it's taken its toll. Um, yeah. So maybe that comes to mind. What else? I don't know. I think that
Okay. Yeah.
that and the relationship with the body, big ones. Just slowing down, slow down, take it easy, do things at a human pace.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm always,
yeah, and maybe
uh,
believing in myself. That took a while. Yeah,
well, say more about that because a lot of, threes have a pretty confident front,
front.
you know, and I got it together. And then when you peel it back, they'll say, well, my big fear is that you're going to see that I'm nothing at all what I appear to be. So I
Right.
feel like I'm kind of lying, but I'm going to keep that front up there because at least it's a little bit safe. But yeah, so
Absolutely. I felt like if you got to know me, you'd see the fraud.
right, the
And
fraud, they use the fraud, that word a lot. A sense of it's all a lie.
yeah.
So and so I keep busy. One type is I just keep ahead of it. I just keep going to the next success, and the fraud is kind of trailing me behind, but I'm like I'll outrun it until I hit the wall. Uh,
Yeah. And as you say it that way, I can feel both the inner and the outer of that because if somebody sees the real me, it won't be enough of a person, you know?
yes, yes,
So I have to like do things that I know you will respect. Um, so I'm doing that for other people, but then for me too, it's like I can't be who that authentic person is. I can't be that. That's not enough.
yeah,
So
they
yeah,
are.
yeah,
I've heard that many times. It's not enough. So challenging. So
yeah.
how do you keep track of all this? I mean, do you share with your husband a lot, or you have or your Diamond Heart group? What supports you in all of this?
Yes, my I love the Sufi system. So their whole system is I have a guide. I have a guide
Hmm.
and we used to speak once a month. And now we speak whenever, I want to. She's an 83 type 1 wise woman. Um,
Wow.
and also knows the Enneagram. She was the one that did the teaching. Anyway, yeah, and my husband's he's pretty easy to talk to. He has not been into the Enneagram, he said, but then we'll be watching a movie. He'll say, that's a type 5, isn't it? So he's absorbing it. And uh
Yeah,
yeah, I can be real with him. So in fact, that's probably what's kept our relationship so strong. And since being authentic is really important to me,
yeah,
um,
yeah. Well,
being able to be real and not having to be somebody, not having to be special, not, in fact, the major dream I had in the Jungian work it was huge, was I had a dream that I was just ordinary, but it wasn't, it was like, oh, just ordinary. So anyway, I can be that with him. So
yeah,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And I
Well,
and I do a inquiry once a week with a Diamond Heart friend, even though I'm not officially part of Sandra's group anymore.
yeah. Well, I wonder if you could say a little bit about how that might have helped you, the Diamond Heart work, if
Oh,
that's.
so much, so much. I just love that work. I still read a lot of Almas
Mhm.
um, and Almas was a book I got given on Sufi retreat before I knew about Diamond Heart. Um, yeah, the whole inquiry process is a real supplement and aid to being authentic because especially over a period of time now. So it's been 10 years, 15
Mm,
years. And to be able to do inquiry without having to impress the person, so it's with this same person now that I've done
mm.
inquiry every week with for a decade. And
Wow.
in that vehicle of being able to inquire and not I'm not distracted by having to perform for her or anything. And um so there's that. So we do pretty much open inquiry, and so that process, again, it's like touching base with what's real, and knowing how to touch base with my real self. It is the place I do that.
Yeah.
And I have two women I trained with at the Enneagram Institute. We also have a monthly meeting, and
Oh,
we use inquiry because, like, right now we're reading Dan Siegel together, and we'll use the inquiry method to we'll do a looping question or something, and it always grounds our conversation, and it has much into more impactful, meaningful conversation, to share that kind of looking inward.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
That one.
I've been involved in the Heart work for a number of years, so I'm familiar with inquiry. And of course, that I learned about it at the Enneagram Institute with Don and Russ, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
how magical that was to do inquiry with people was remarkable. So yeah, it's a powerful mechanism, powerful tool. And Almus, he's definitely from another cosmos. Uh, he he comes up with a new book every 10 days, it seems like. Just doesn't have time to write it all down. He's just channeling it so much.
Yeah.
Well, so have you served as a mom for kids throughout the course of your life? Have you been a mother?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm a full-on grandma.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And I feel bad even. I don't know why I even need to tell you this, but like the other grandma is jealous. I'm so full on with them. Um, and I have enough seven in me too, that and my granddaughters are type 7 and 8, and
Hmm.
I just get right down on the floor with them. And
Okay.
um, yeah, and I think there is that drive to be the best grandma, but I'm not. It's also just natural. So
Mhm.
if I can every now and then inquire, are you doing this because you have to get some stars, from your grandkids, or are you just doing it? And yeah, no, I have two grandkids and love it, and I love my son and wife. Yep, I have
Um,
one son. Yeah.
well, so what was it like being a type three raising your son?
Yeah, well, it was that combination of wanting to be the best mom, but also I think I projected onto him. I wanted him to be who he was,
Oh, awesome.
right? I mean, because that's what I wanted for me, and that's what I wanted for him. So I really doubled down around that, uh,
Awesome.
which I think worked. He's a type two. Uh, I think it was good. I don't think it went so far as to entitle him. He's not like a selfish entitled kid, but I
Mhm.
I wanted to be sure whatever we were doing was because this
Mhm.
was good for him, or he wanted it, or it was aligned with what was happening in his life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned Dan Siegel's work, which I find to be complex and hard to grasp sometimes. But I wonder if you could say what your general take on it is in terms of like if it was just a paragraph on this is what this covers.
Yeah, he's definitely in the nerd category, and all that languages. However, and having met him on Zoom in
Mhm.
person, I think the thing I take away most is I recognize from the way he's writing that his understanding that we're all in this together, and the whole concept of we, that I'm a me, but I'm also a we, and
Mhm.
I'm both things, and that
Mhm.
you know uh, we are built even in our brain to respond in, if we're healthy, to respond in a way that cultivates a really, really strong relationships with each other.
Oh, okay. And I wondered if it had, I wonder if part of the theory or that what he's working on is the idea that each Enneagram type has a slightly different brain configuration, neural pathways that are indicative of a potential type. Is that something that you've taken in?
Uh, yeah, I haven't. Uh, I'm trying to think. I'm about just started his new book. The one I'm reading, the one I just finished was Intraconnection. So it was more about,
Oh,
it wasn't about the types
yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah.
However, I think what I could take away is that all types are, we're built to, what's the word? I'm built to be uh called to the divine.
Mm,
My route is different.
yeah,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, and I would say he said that not in that way, but
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
he basically is proving that through his knowledge of the brain is that we are built to uh what I'm looking for a word. Do you remember? Oh, what was her name? A singer. She had a song, and she just said, she did a song called "The White Lily," which is calling you.
Oh,
And
uh,
I feel that way. I feel called.
oh, beautiful. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so the other thing as I'm listening to you, I think of the other threes I've talked to, and they seem to be multi-talented and quite good at even self-teaching themselves. They just get in and master it, and then they get into the next thing and they master it, and it's like, whoa, how do you do that? So what's
And it causes a problem because I just went to Spain with my sister, our first travels together, and we sat at a table of 12 people. And by the time we were done, I knew all their names, what they do. I was the diplomat at the table,
yeah.
and she, how do you remember all their names? And then as she said, every time you're talking to someone, you've done that, or you know that, or yeah, I play music, yeah, I've done art, yeah, I love languages, yeah, so,
Yeah,
I like that about my type. It's made for a very rich, 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 you
yeah,
know,
multifaceted for
yeah,
sure, and
yeah.
just the love of learning. So say a little bit more about what you love about your type.
Um, the energy, I mean, I'm 73 and I feel energetic. I mean, my body's starting to break down, but I love the energy. I still have
Mm,
energy.
mm,
I love I just love life. I love people. I'm fascinated by what motivates people, which is why I got into coaching.
yeah.
Um, I, I guess that's a three.
Mhm.
Wanting to, whenever I've done a workshop or whatnot, I really dive deep because I think I want to target what I say to the audience I'm speaking to. I like that about the type. I want to do a good workshop. I want it to be the practical. So I think a three really, I
Mm,
want to, I want to do something people can use, you
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
not just be talking to talk or
yeah.
to look smart or anything like that. So I love translating things into something that people can take away.
Awesome.
And even in conversation, I feel like my drive to be authentic, and I love an authentic conversation. You were talking about inquiry and I loved it right away because, like, yes, this is the way I want to talk to people.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think the diplomatic edge and the way I can have conversation with people, it's my husband's like flummoxed about why people tell me their deepest darkest secrets within 5 minutes. uh, but I enjoy that, and I think they can feel that that kind of sharing, just saying some things out loud sometimes is supportive, so I like that, that it's a natural for me, and I
Yeah.
care about people. It's not put on.
Yeah.
um
Well, it
so
seems like you have had that sensitivity ever since you were a little girl on a certain level, just that wish for authenticity. It might have been buried behind different social, challenges, but it sounds like it's been a driving force, which I know threes who don't learn about that authentic part until they're crashed and burned. And I mean, there's a
Huh.
number of threes I've worked with who would say, you know, at one point I had everything anybody could ever want, and I was empty.
Mm.
And Don Reese said something like, when they arrive at that point, they either are ready for a full-blown spiritual journey or they kill themselves. It's like such a shock to be, I have it all, and you think I should be feeling great, and I don't. So, but it sounds like that part of that wish for authenticity has been around for a while.
It has, and I'm wondering how my four wing, whether it's been just as strong,
Hmm.
because I care very much about having deep conversations, about
Yeah,
loving, visually loving everything around me. It has, beauty is important. It's a deal breaker.
yeah,
Um, and uh, so that wanting to go deep and be authentic was probably aided by a pretty strong, I guess.
wow.
I mean, I think I'm a three with a two wing, but the four feels right on in that kind of way,
Yeah,
wanting the depth,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Interesting. Well,
And
one of the challenges I've heard threes say is when I finally started getting in touch with what I really wanted, I was already really good at something else that brought in money, and people didn't want me to leave. It's like they would pay
uh,
me more, and it's like it was so hard because I didn't want to let them down either. But to follow my own path, it really was challenging because I got a lot of rewards for, doing something really well that maybe my heart wasn't in it. So I don't know if you've had that
I
experience.
was lucky. I was lucky. I put myself through college as a waitress, and then after that, I just wanted to be self-employed. And
Wow.
that's the sort of me part. Like I'm not, a big, huge part of my journey has been going from the three to the six of from going to the me show to the teamwork.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was never good in teams. I hated meetings. Ugh. Uh, and and so I wanted to be self-employed. So everything I did from the get-go was what I wanted to do. Played
Yeah.
music, pottery. I became a professional potter, not just a trained potter.
Hmm.
Um, and then after the awakening, as the divine interfered,
As it
in
does.
order to buy my $5,000 instrument, I started teaching, and I started teaching creating from the unconscious. So
Really?
that's how I began to move into coaching
Oh, cool.
and all that. And so it's all been organic. Yeah. So I didn't go through that doing something I hated.
Yeah, yeah,
Although I worked for Boston University, I worked for the president, and when I was leaving, because I was leaving for the love of my life was taking me away from Massachusetts to Vermont, and he said, well, will you stay? I'll fly you here. I'll fly you here to work. So I did have that experience,
yeah,
and I can't believe I said no. But yeah.
yeah. We'll say a little bit about that movement towards six, to the team. Like, how has that evolved for you?
Yeah, okay. That was one of the bigger challenges. I really don't like meetings. I don't have a lot of patience for a lot of small talk that isn't practical. I want to be efficient. So efficiency, that's a huge reword. And in every movement of mine, since I'm doing so much, and I learned this in waitressing, every movement had to be efficient. Um, and so I think, uh, right. So as I moved from being a potter to founding a ceramic educational center, I had a board, I had
Oh,
people I had to work with,
wow.
and it was a true lesson because I really just wanted to say what was going to. It was like I've always been self-employed. I just want to tell you what to do and have you do it. Um,
Yeah.
and so and I had many tests with the board. I mean, they were great. We worked great, but it was the whole process of working in a team really took a lot of training for me, and I had to really and this is again when I learned about the Enneagram and learned that this is part of my learning, it helped.
Yeah.
because I did it with less resentment.
I'm being dragged there whether I want to go or not. So
Yeah, yeah. And now I work in a bunch of teams
good.
and
Hmm.
I love it. And
Oh,
I there's
awesome.
a letting go. So yeah, there was a big I don't know if it was gradual or what, but a letting go of what what I want and need has slowly just dissolved. And I can see more what we want and need and take other
Oh,
people into consideration
wow.
much more than I ever could before.
Yeah. Well,
But
are you,
it was it had I had to be steeped in this organization which I really wanted to see survive, and I had to be a good team worker. I had no choice.
yeah, and you did it. So,
I
which
did
is
it. Yeah.
awesome. And now you like it. Well, are
Yeah.
you familiar with the concept of the missing piece,
Yes.
which is nine, direction of nine for you?
Yeah.
So, which is very different than three energy, right?
Yes.
So, how's that going? How's your movement to nine?
Yeah. Well, can you say a little more about that missing piece? What is it? It's there was
Well,
I
it,
add
it
yeah.
it's where the stress. It's in the direction of so. Um, I just taught about this, and I get them mixed up all the time. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna
so you have a security point and an integration point, which is
right.
for you would be three going to six, correct? And
Yep.
then distress would be to nine, for type three, like I'm working and working and working, and then I finally collapse and I'm eating, popcorn and binge watching Netflix. But then the missing piece is that you begin to develop uh, a relationship with deep stillness and not having to move and just being able to
Being
be.
being
Uh,
versus doing.
yeah,
Yes.
and that's sort of like the story is that it's the last leg of the journey in terms of uh, releasing attachment to the personality. Of course, there's probably many layers above that in other worlds, but I'm not worried about that today. So, but yeah, what's your relationship to nineness?
Okay, well, yeah, so I'm married to a nine, and there was a decade of being annoyed. Um, he wanted to be, I wanted to do. It's like, let's go for a walk. Oh, I had to learn to give him time. I'm going for a walk in an hour. Do you want to come? He'd say yes. But I think at some point, maybe probably the Enneagram, I learned he was my teacher. So I began to respect the flow, the peace, the harmony,
Hmm.
the being. So that
Yeah,
was it had to be that. Otherwise, it's like I didn't want it. It was everything I wasn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the missing piece. Everything we're not. So,
Right.
yeah.
And so I can feel the need for credit.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, it's got to be still semblances of it, but
Hmm.
yeah, and I think having a nine partner really helped that. Uh, and I still have a lot to learn in terms of truly just being. I still am restless,
Yeah.
but I can feel that it's, and especially with the meditation and whatnot, um, when I can do that, it's um, it's what do I want to say? It's at the top of what I have to learn.
Yeah. Good to know. You
Yeah.
know. So, so
But I do wonder if a three can do being differently than a nine. Can I still do being?
mhm.
It's interesting that as a three, I have to say do being, but
Well, yeah, I guess you're going to find out and tell us if it's possible.
I know I think one of the ways I feel is with all the heart work, which I think I've been doing in one way or another,
Hmm.
the flow of energy and the way that it feels sort of saturated with love, I can feel when that's happening and when it's not. So it's a little bit of my guide rails.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I know what it looks like because I'm married to one, but I have a lot of journey to go.
Yeah, well, tell me if there's anything that you haven't had a chance to talk about threeness that that you think people might help them to be understanding of.
Um, well, it's hard to say unless you feel it, but the journey to feeling one's preciousness and one's intrinsic value is, if you don't already kind of know that it is that, it's hard to believe that.
Hmm.
And if it's hard to believe and you don't have faith that that's true, it's
Hmm.
harder to let yourself unfold. I mean, it takes a lot of faith to let yourself unfold and trust that what's unfolding
Hmm.
is good enough.
Yeah.
It's that what you're going to meet is your intrinsic value, and your authenticity. So I guess I would just say, uh, yeah, that's hard. But having faith, if not belief,
Hmm.
to just learning to hear that little voice. When I was running the educational center, I was working 20 hours a day, and I remember every night I'd go to bed and say, you don't want to be doing this. You don't want, oh, okay, I have a story too. You don't want to be doing this. And I wasn't listening. And the voice was pretty loud. So, okay, so I had a congenital hip defect, and I was told I was going to have to have my hip replaced. So right about that time, as the center had gotten on its feet, it was pretty healthy, and I had my hip replaced, and so I had to be home, and a whole transition. It's like, and my Sufi guide said, can you give yourself permission to let it be what it's going to be now? So I had to let it go, and and uh, again, I keep losing the thread here. Uh, so it's like that had to happen to me, or I wouldn't have let go. So it wasn't a sickness, but it was, a health issue,
Yeah, that
and,
helped you.
and forced me, yeah, or
Well, if you're
helped me.
going to give advice or suggestions to people how they could support a three,
Uh-huh.
anything come to mind in terms of just compassion for them and just some things to think about?
When I remember my Sufi guide, when I first met her, and I remember I would say something and she would say to me, really? Because she knew, is this really what you want or what you're thinking? Or she
Mm,
wanted that authentic peace. And just by
mm,
stopping a moment and inquiring, really,
yeah.
kind of let me get beyond just saying what I would say to impress someone, or
Oh,
what I thought she wanted to hear, or
yeah.
whatever. So just knowing somebody wants to hear from who I really am,
Yeah.
whatever, however that comes out. But I just remember being physically struck by her saying that, and
Mm,
encouraged to, and that's one of the ways I grew to love her.
awesome. Awesome.
So,
Well, thank you for sitting with me and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I feel like I just got loads of new impressions about you and so you're not invisible, that's for sure. And but thank you so much. I really appreciate your sharing your story and your the depth that you've had to go through and all of that. So just many thanks and
well, I want to say many thanks to you. I fell in love with you the first workshop, and because I remember you were talking about our relationship to ourselves and to the community and to God,
mhm.
and the
Yeah.
rings of that. And anyway, during that workshop, you shed a few tears, and I was so moved to see
Wow.
you moved. That again, that was for me. I witnessed an authenticity that was very moving for me, and so this is lovely. Feels like full circle.
Yay. That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna turn this off and then maybe just chat a minute. So
Okay.